At the heart of this story of the murder of Dan Markel is, of course, Dan Markel's ex-wife, Wendi Adelson. On the stand, she appears as an enigma, a maddening phony who never tells the truth. Up until Donna Adelson's trial, we've relied on the more remote players in the story to tell us the truth about Wendi Adelson and her part in the murder of Dan Markel.
Her birthday, what was the date of that?
We were scheduled to have a date day before her birthday is April 21st. We were scheduled to have kind of a special date night that night. Wendi didn't answer her phone, didn't answer texts, and I got so concerned about her. A few hours after the date was supposed to have started, I just drove over there to check on her, knocked on the door for a while. She finally came to the door. Appeared to be intoxicated, and not just on alcohol. I mean, weary-eyed. I'm not sure what substances, but it wasn't good. She wanted me to stay, and I was annoyed enough that I actually just left. I didn't stay the night. So.
Okay, so I kind of got our timeline out of her, but some erratic behavior from her on April 21st and then again on June 4th.
That's right.
Okay. And you were at her residence. What was the plan for that evening?
I didn't know. It was just to spend time together and maybe talk about the relationship some, but we were conversing. We had conversations.
Were the kids there that night?
They were not.
Okay, so it was just the two of you at the residence?
Just the two of us.
All right, and did the subject of relocation come up?
Yes.
In what context?
It came up in the context of whenever Wendi got back from Miami, she was always very upset about the fact that the relocation had previously been denied. I mean, it had been legally denied, but she wasn't over it. It was a constant refrain about how much she hated Tallahassee. So we're talking about the future of our relationship. And I'm asking, are you going to be here? Because with the constant complaining about how hard it was on her parents to transport the kids and just the constant complaining, just thinking, is she even going to be here? Is it worth trying to push forward in the relationship? And she said the only way that I'd ever relocate is if something would have to happen to Dan.
About something
Well,
happening to Danny?
Can I give the context before the next?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was getting a little tired of this whole drama around the relocation. And so I pushed back on Wendi a little bit and said, like, you're going to have to kind of make your peace with this. You're going to have to take some responsibility for this. You're linked to Dan Markel for life. Kind of challenged her a little bit. And she said, well, can I tell you something confidentially? And I said, sure. And she said last summer,
Can I tell you something in confidence?
Yeah, can I tell you something? After I challenge her, can I tell you something in confidence? Sure. Well, last summer, my brother looked into all options possible to take care of the Danny Markel problem, including hiring a hitman, and it would cost about $15,000.
Okay, and when she referred to her brother, she's got two of those, right?
She said Charlie.
Okay. And when she said Charlie looked into hiring a hitman, are you familiar with Charlie's joke? I looked into hiring a hitman, but got you a TV as a divorced president because it was cheaper.
Yeah, Wendi told me that joke a couple of times. This was not that joke.
Okay, so this was something different.
Yeah, the joke was said with levity. It's a dark joke, but this I found chilling. I found disturbing. It made my stomach flip. It kind of took me aback. She was dead serious when she said this. And she'd asked to tell me in confidence, which you don't do before you tell a joke.
Okay.
This was until Robert Adelson took the stand and revealed all from his very remote location about what was going on in the Adelson family, the real story. And strangely, it matched the story told by those who had more distance from the Adelson family.
You may examine.
Thank you. Could you tell us your name and spell your name for our court reporter, please?
Sure. Robert Todd Adelson, Adelson.
Thank you. And what state do you currently live in?
New York.
And how long have you lived in New York?
13 years.
Okay, so since maybe 2012?
Yes.
All right. Who's the leader in the family? Who tends to run the show?
I think my mom.
Okay, so Donna Adelson.
Yes.
Would you describe Donna Adelson's personality as being more controlling or more laid back?
I think more on the controlling side.
Is she kind of a more assertive person or a more passive person?
More assertive.
When you and your siblings were growing up, was Donna Adelson a very involved parent?
Yes.
And when I say involved, as far as with your life and with your friends and with school and with that type of thing?
Absolutely.
Did she have certain fixed ideas throughout your life of certain things she wanted to happen in you and your siblings' life?
Yes, absolutely.
Was it acceptable if you decided to not do those certain things that she was fixated she wanted you to do? Was that acceptable to her or no?
No, I think she had certain sort of rigid, fixed ideas or impressions for what she wanted for us. And, if you went along with that, things were fine. If you didn't, things were not fine.
Did she have strong opinions about who you all married and what you all did for a living and those types of things?
Yes.
And you're obviously a doctor. Was that an acceptable profession to
Yes.
her?
Yeah, that was okay.
Okay. And so Charlie always got a lot of attention, and then Donna also started giving her attention also to Wendy's life once Wendi starts going through the separation or divorce.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. If someone were to ask Donna Adelson, or if someone asked Donna Adelson to do something, is she the type of person that just snaps to it, or does she have some questions first?
No, I don't think she would just snap to and do what someone told her to.
Okay. Is she the type of person who's going to have some questions if you ask her to do
Yes,
something?
I think she would definitely have some questions.
How did Donna Adelson feel about Dan Markel when he and Wendi first got together and were headed towards marriage?
He was very positive about him.
Okay. So he was somebody she approved of.
Yes.
All right. And how did that change as Wendi and Danny's relationship soured? They ended up moving towards divorce.
So I really only heard anything bad about Danny after Wendi moved out. I didn't hear anything bad about him prior to that date.
Okay. So just kind of went from everything's fine to then hearing bad things about him.
Yes.
And when you say hearing bad things about him, like from her? From Donna Adelson, I'm
yes.
sorry? Okay. And how did Donna Adelson feel about Dan Markel in 2014?
I mean, she hated him.
Would this come from your knowledge of that, come from things that she would say to you?
Yes. I mean, yeah.
Did you observe that Wendi played a bit of a damsel in distress, in your opinion, in the divorce?
Yes, I think that's a good way to describe it. Can I hear the question again?
Did Donna Adelson ever talk to you about Wendi and Dan Markel's divorce?
Some. I mean, the phrase that sticks in my head is that Danny was depoing Wendi to death. I wasn't involved with, all the various motions. I remember that phrase. I remember there being a lot of, court motions back and forth. But I remember that phrase. I remember, some complaints about like very long either mediation or depositions that Wendi had to endure.
Okay. So this is Donna saying Wendy's having to go through these things.
Yes.
Okay. What did Donna Adelson tell you about the plan for Wendi Adelson to leave the marriage?
Sure. When she told me that that she had been in Tallahassee for several months.
This is Donna Adelson had
Yes.
been?
That she had been in Tallahassee for several months, renting a new place for Wendi, arranging for movers, moving money around and getting things set up. I only knew this after Wendi had moved out. But she was relating to me what had occurred over the summer. And so I heard this all at once, but, probably 5-6 days after Wendi had moved out. And then told me that somewhat gleefully or, pleased that they timed the phone call to Danny right before he was supposed to give a speech at the meeting he was at.
Okay. So a couple questions about that. You said Donna said that she had been up here in Tallahassee moving the money around and getting things ready for Wendi. Do you mean for when Wendi moved out and needed a place of her own?
Yes.
Okay. And what did Donna tell you that she did to try to, I guess, hide the fact that they were renting a place for Wendi?
I remember her saying she had used her maiden name so there wouldn't be an Adelson up here renting, or hiring movers or such.
Just so like word of mouth wouldn't get around that Wendi Adelson was renting an apartment, something like that.
Sure.
Okay. So they used Donna's maiden name.
Yes.
Donna did. And then you said that their plan was for Wendi to call Dan Markel as he was getting on stage, or right before he got on stage, to give a speech at a conference.
That's what I was told.
Okay. And what was Donna's demeanor when she was describing this plan to you about how she was able to set up this place for Wendi to live in? Everything was ready for her. And then this is how she gave Dan the news.
She sounded pleased to me.
Did you ever see Donna Adelson doing anything to help Wendi Adelson with the divorce?
I think she was, answering a lot of emails and looking over, emails that went back and forth, looking over motions and such.
Did you personally see that when she was visiting you? Did you see Donna Adelson doing those things?
Yes.
Okay. Was there an occasion when you all were in the hospital and Donna came to visit and was doing those things in the hospital?
I think it was at our home at the time, right before he went to the hospital. But yes, that's where we, saw the email.
Okay. And while she was at your house during that time, was that when you were living in Philadelphia?
That was in Albany.
Albany. Okay. Did Donna Adelson tell you that Wendi Adelson was trying to get permission to relocate to Miami?
Yes.
And did Donna Adelson tell you about the $1 million bribe she wanted to offer Dan Markel?
Yes.
I can rephrase, Judge. Did Donna Adelson tell you information about how much time she was having to spend in Tallahassee?
She said that Wendi needed a lot of help because now she has 2 boys on her own, and so she was up there a lot. And I think yes.
Okay. Who cared more about Wendi Adelson's divorce from your conversations? Was it Donna or Charlie?
Donna.
What types of things does Charlie care about? What are kinds of things is he really into?
Underestimate me and you'll see what you get. Charlie's never wrong because Charlie's always right. I'm not Fredo, I'm Charlie. I'm not dumb, I'm right. I'm the maestro. It's spelled out on the back of my Ferrari. I'm the maestro. I ordered the paella. Don't forget the calamari. A phone call with might be the longest hour you've ever spent. Call me maestro. Lucky girls get to hear me talk about myself as I go to town. Leave them unsatisfied, but they would still come round. I got staple money in my safe, I'm ready to spend. But that was all before I got done for murder. Now I'm doing lava in the state pit. I'm the maestro. It's spelled out on the back of my
Like go-karts, jet skis, going out, boats, not Wendy's divorce.
During the divorce, from your conversations with Donna, was she fixated on Wendi taking this job with a guy named Gary Cohen in Miami?
Yes, that was a common discussion point.
Okay. Did she seem like it was just something that she kind of thought would be a good idea, or something that she seemed to have a real obsession with?
It came up a lot in my discussions with her about this job with Gary, where she'd be making $1 million a year and to be a partner. And it was something that was brought up a lot, that she'd be able to take care of her kids in a way that she couldn't up in Tallahassee. And then it was, it was probably the one thing that she mentioned to me, the only time I heard any anger after the murder had occurred, was that I asked, is Wendi going to go work for Gary now? And she told me that.
Did the job end up not working out?
As far as I know, it didn't.
Okay. And that you heard some anger from Donna when that happened?
She said that his partners wouldn't let them hire her until they.
Okay.
Sorry.
But there was some anger there because the job didn't end up working out.
Yes.
They couldn't hire Wendi or didn't want to hire Wendi after all.
That's what I was told.
Okay, thank you. Now, during the summer of 2014, did Wendi Adelson, I'm going to move on to 2014 now, did Wendi Adelson send you a text where she referenced having a boyfriend?
Yes.
And was this before Dan Markel's murder?
Yes.
Why was that memorable to you?
It was just unusual. Wendi, never was someone who would, share her, romantic life or boyfriends or, tell me or, text me about anyone she was dating. So it just stood out as, unique or different.
Okay. What did she, was there something in particular that she said that struck you as also unusual? Okay. I guess, was it your impression that your parents knew about this boyfriend at the time or no?
No, the text said, don't tell the parents.
Well,
You may continue your examination, Ms. Dugan.
okay, so I was asking you about this text that you received from Wendi Adelson. Can you tell me about this text?
Sure. She texted me that she was going to Gainesville for the weekend, and this was 2014. So I last lived in Gainesville about 3 years prior to that. Mentioned that she wanted that I mentioned the name of Jeff. I asked who was Jeff. The response was my boyfriend. I responded I didn't know, and she said you wouldn't. I didn't hear it from the parents. She says they don't know, and so it just struck me as. And then she sent me some pictures of Jeff with her and the boys. It struck me as unique because she'd never shared the name or photograph of a boyfriend before.
Okay. So it was unusual for her to talk to you about boyfriends at all.
Yes.
But you also felt it was unusual that she's telling you about this boyfriend when even your parents don't know about him yet.
Right.
And she was closer to her parents at the time than you.
Correct.
Okay. What date was that text message sent?
The very end of June, like 26 or 28 of 14, but that last weekend.
Okay. So it was prior to 4th of July weekend.
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember where in those photographs Wendi is with her sons and Jeff?
Like Wakulla Springs, something like that.
Okay.
And they're in front of a board that said that.
And did you let her know you wouldn't mention him to her parents or to your parents?
Yes.
Did that strike you as so unusual that after Dan Markel was murdered, you felt, I guess, compelled to tell police, like, hey, I heard she has this boyfriend she hasn't told anybody about named Jeff?
Yes, I did. The FBI came to my house and I spoke to them once, and either it didn't come up or, it's a bit nerve-wracking talking to the FBI, and that they didn't ask any questions about that. And then, I guess over the ensuing week, I'd heard about like this Prius and this unsolved murder. And I remembered, it struck me as odd that I was sent these photographs of a boyfriend and not to tell the parents about him. And so that's when I wanted to have a clean conscience. So I reached out to the FBI and I said, I don't know if this matters, but I figured I would, tell you about this. And they came back for a second interview and looked at the pictures.
Okay. When is your birthday? Was his party on his actual birthday or another day of the week?
No, on his actual birthday.
All right. Was your brother Charlie there that weekend?
Yes.
Wendi and her sons, were they there?
Yes.
Was the party catered?
Yeah, there was. Yes.
What type of food did you have?
There were like past hors d'oeuvres, and then there was a paella chef on the balcony.
Okay. Was the party a surprise for Harvey?
No.
So you were never told, don't tell him about it, it's a surprise?
No.
Anything like that? Don't tell him. Were you not supposed to tell him anything about the party that was a surprise?
No, there was nothing about a surprise birthday.
Was there ever a time in the weeks leading up to the party that you heard that the party may be canceled for any reason?
No, never.
All right. So how did you first hear about Dan Markel's murder?
I heard the day after the shooting occurred. So that would be Saturday, July 19. I was at a meeting in Chicago, and I think I got a phone call first, and that I was in a meeting, and so I just said I can I call you later? And then I got a text message shortly thereafter, like right before 10 in the morning. It said like, tragedy here, please call.
And are these from Donna Adelson?
Yes.
Okay. So were you able to call her that morning from the conference in Chicago?
Yeah. So I walked out and went to the hotel lobby and just hit call.
Okay. And tell us about that conversation with her.
So it's one of those moments that you'll just remember forever. So I remember being in the lobby of the Westin, and I assumed something terrible had happened, and but I wasn't ready for it. She said, so we just want to let you know that Danny's been shot, and they took him to the hospital, but he didn't make it. And I mean, it didn't make any sense. And I probably asked like a few medical questions, and they said they're driving up to go help Wendi, and we'll talk to you later. We can't talk now.
Okay. Was she crying in that conversation?
Not in
Donna
that
Adelson?
conversation.
Sir?
No, she was not.
Okay.
It was very matter of fact.
Did she ever give you any further detail that weekend about how he'd been shot, or other than just Danny was shot and he didn't make it?
I think it was the next day. So the only really other time that I spoke with him that weekend, I was in the airport going home, like Sunday afternoon. So it was definitely the next day. And, it was the first time I could actually have any kind of conversation. And, one of the things that she told me is, it bothered me, but I didn't have any other details about, but she said that, someone went to the front door and said, "Are you Dan Markel?" and then shot him. And then I said, "Well, how could you know that? Who's telling you that?" And she said, "Well, that's just what they're telling us." And
Okay. So she said someone told her that someone knocked on Danny's door, said, "Are you Dan Markel?" He said yes, and the shooter shot him.
That's the story I heard. And, later we found out that wasn't what happened, but that story bothered me a lot because there's only one way you could hear that story.
Was she crying when she told you that information?
No.
You mentioned earlier that law enforcement contacted you after Dan Markel's murder. Did they contact you to try to see if you knew any information?
Yeah, they came to our house. I was already at work, and so they talked to my wife. It had to be a Wednesday or Thursday, so I was already at work.
And is this your house in New York?
Yes.
Okay. Did you end up talking to law enforcement and letting them, answering their questions, letting them know what you knew?
Yeah, they came to my office the next day, and we with two agents, and we had an interview.
Okay. After that conversation with, you said it was the FBI earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay. After that conversation with the FBI, did Donna Adelson ever say anything to you about having talked to law enforcement or the FBI?
It was either that afternoon or the next day, but and she called me and said, just want to let you know, if the police come around, don't talk to them.
Okay, so she told you not to talk to law enforcement.
Correct.
Did you let her know that you already had talked to law enforcement?
Yeah, I said I already did.
What did she say to that?
She said, "Oh, well, you don't know anything anyway."
You don't know anything anyway?
Correct.
Was that an unusual statement coming from your mother?
Yeah, everything that week was unusual, but I clearly didn't know anything, but I wasn't going to not talk to the FBI if they show up at my house.
How did you respond? Let me ask you this. After the murder of Dan Markel, did Donna Adelson seem curious about who killed Dan Markel?
No.
Was there a complete lack of curiosity?
Yeah, nobody seemed curious.
Did you actually ever ask her, like after the murder, like, hey, like, what do you think happened? What do you?
Yeah, and the conversations were kind of rerouted, or that was certainly discouraged, and it was probably like maybe sometime like mid-August, when I finally had a chance to ask and say, what is going on? This was not a small event. This was getting a lot of notoriety, and I said, what do you guys think happened? And she had said, I don't know and I don't care. It doesn't concern me.
Was that out of character for her to not be curious and not be asking some questions?
Yeah, I mean, it was an unsolved murder of, my former brother-in-law, like someone that we all know very well. I mean, if it was like some neighborhood gossip, people would be interested. This was like national interest, and nobody had any curiosity about, who did this to Danny.
Is a person, you mentioned that, not only is it your brother-in-law, but it was like national news at that point as well.
Yes.
And regardless of it being national news or not, I mean, is a person dying from gun violence an extremely unusual thing to happen in your family?
Yeah, I mean, to this day, Danny's the only person that I know who's died from gun violence or been a victim of gun violence. So it's unique in that manner.
What would your mom, Donna Adelson, do if you did try to like ask her any more about Danny's murder after that?
It wasn't a subject for discussion. It would be rerouted, or it was just not a subject to discuss.
When you say rerouted, do you mean like changing the subject?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fast forward to 2016. Do you remember in May of 2016 when Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera were arrested?
Yeah, I do. I like saw it in the OR lounge. Someone, told me about it. So it had to be like a Wednesday, and
you were in the the operating room lounge.
Yeah, it was
and
the
someone
lounge.
told you about it.
It was someone else, because
Okay.
Stories like this people see on Twitter or such, and I remember someone telling me like, did you hear about that case? Because it's more than one person had followed it, and I saw it, and then. That was on the 26th. And I remember the dates because our anniversary is on the 28th of May. My wife and I were like, should we call them? Like they arrested some guy who killed Danny. And
when you say them, you mean like, should we
my
call
parents.
my parents? And
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it was big news that even people you work with were seeing that there were finally some arrests made.
Right.
Okay. And that was 2 days before your anniversary. You said?
Yes.
Okay. So, did you and your wife eventually talk to your parents?
We did. Like we thought, like, should we call them? And we figured, if they wanted to call us, they would call us, and then they didn't. And so we figured, well, they'll call us on our anniversary, and so we can just sit tight. And I'm sure it's pretty stressful. And this guy was arrested in Miami, and so they called us on our anniversary, which was the 28th.
Okay, so that was 2 days after the arrest, I think.
2 days after I found out. Yes.
2 days after you found out. Thank you. So on the 28th, did you talk to Donna Adelson?
Yes.
All right. And when she called you, was she telling you the good news that Danny's killers were arrested?
No, just called us for anniversary, and wished us well, and had some small talk for a bit. I kind of let it go for a little bit. And I mean, this was not small news. And so I finally broached the topic and said, they found the guy, they arrested someone who killed Danny. There's no response. And then I said it, at least 2 or 3 times that, they arrested, they made an arrest. They got the guy who killed Danny. Yeah. And then her response was, I've got to go.
There's no ignoring the honest, easygoing testimony of Robert Adelson compared to Wendi Adelson's phony and unbelievable testimony. What is she hiding?
Oh, Donna, what a stitch you're in. You plotted a murder 'cause you wanted to raise your daughter's kid. Tallahassee is just a stop on the way to civilization, Miami. Potato, hoo-ho, you know the guy you pay, and you can't get away from that. Oh, Donna, what a stitch you're in. You thought jail was just for the little people, but now you're so blankets with the locked up crew. You're a grandmother in lockdown, and your one-way ride to freedom you blew. Oh, Donna, what a stitch you're in. Your family are exiled from the social circles you swam in. We all know you never made that banana bread or offered to babysit for Dan, but you'll soon be making license plates and thinking about what could have been.